Happy New Year, folks. Happy New Year. It's 2025. We made it. I don't know what we made it into yet, but we made it. And it is a Friday, the first Friday of 2025. It is noon on the East Coast. Friday, 2025. You knew what that means. Well, I should have said you know what that means. It means Small Biz Breakdown is back. We made it, I think, 18 or 19 episodes last year. We went I don't know if we missed one until the end of the year. We were good, but we're going to be better. We always strive to be better, and striving to be better with me, the one and only Leland McFarland.
Hey, I made it in time.
You really did. It was like perfect timing. The audio,
Nick of time.
The nick of time, or is it the nick o time? Wasn't that something? Anyway, how are things? How are things in the Pacific Northwest?
Rainy, wet, lovely. Not too cold or anything like that. It's lovely.
Speaking of lovely, what a perfect segue this is.
Oh yes,
we have the lovely Evina Taylor from Medina. Is that how you guys say that?
It is. It is exactly correct, because just like in the old tradition of all American towns that are named after something, some other European town, in our case, it is the town, I believe, where Mecca is. So this is the Mecca of marketing.
Oh,
DIY here in frosty, cold, and snowy Cleveland this morning. So I am in my ski sweater.
And it looks very nice.
Thank you.
Very lovely.
And we in Georgia have a whole bunch of those kind of cities. Like we have Vienna instead of Vienna.
Yes, exactly.
And we got plenty more of those, but I don't want to brag or anything.
Don't get me started on Oregon versus Oregon.
All right, we won't. We will move right on to the one and only, and thankfully that's the case. The bold one, the cold one, John Cold Rice Lawson.
Yay! Happy New Year!
Wow, he comes with his own fireworks. Okay, that's
he's been practicing all his little effects. I like it.
Exactly.
That's because he's got a new machine. It's like, finally something that's less than a decade old. I'm actually more excited than he is.
Do not knock old but powerful monster machines.
I mean, he shouldn't knock anything old and powerful. Look at him. Come on.
The man who just said that has a milestone birthday coming up in like 2 weeks, folks. I just want you all to know that. Just want you all to know that. Anyway, Happy New Year to everybody, including whoever's out there watching us right now. I'm excited about 2025. I'm going to just ask the first question, each one of you. Are you excited about 2025? Evina, are you excited about 2025?
I have to say, can you be anything less than excited? I am excited for all the things that I can control.
Okay, that's a very interesting answer. Okay.
Wow.
Leland, are you excited for 2025 beyond things that you can control specifically?
I am excited. I'm interested in knowing where everything's going to go and where everything's going to settle. It's, there's a lot that isn't within my control, and that is scary, but also exciting because there are a bunch of different possibilities out there.
See, I like that one too. And Mr. Lawson, the cold one, some call you the bold one. Are you excited about 2025?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited that we're no longer in 2024.
Yeah, I'll say an amen to that one.
Amen, right? But, it's like, you get to put your stake in the stand and be on the other side of something. And so first of the year, why not do it then? And I think we're going to see such major advancements this year. It's going to be an interesting year.
I'm just excited for you because you finally got a machine that was built in the
I finally got a new machine.
Yeah. Oh my God. So good. I almost need a tissue. Tito over here. Anyway, all right. So lots of stuff going on. Even though we've had a couple of weeks off, like stuff didn't just stop happening. I mean, things continue to go on. And I think I have one, and a lot of, everybody's doing their predictions and stuff. And I saw this article. I think it was in Fast Company. 25 experts predict how AI will change business and life in 2025. It caught my attention. I looked at the people in there, 25. And I actually knew a couple of them. I'm not going to go to the first person I knew first, but I wanted to go to this prediction from Grace Yee, Senior Director of Ethical Innovation at Adobe. And she says 2025 will mark a pivotal shift as consumers and businesses gravitate towards tools that embed ethics into their generative AI product DNA. Ethics injected into generative AI in 2025. Ethics are going to play a main part in generative AI development. I'm just going to ask you guys, do you agree or disagree with that? Whoever wants to go first, do you agree or disagree, and why?
I don't even know what the hell that means.
Right.
Well, I know,
that's
I
what?
know.
Honestly, no, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Okay.
I think that is just some babble. I have no idea what that means.
You don't know what ethics means, so
I mean, yeah, I get it, but I mean, what does this mean? It's just
I just
dribble.
read it. I'm just a messenger. Damn it! Don't
Okay.
take it out
Well,
on me.
no, I'm not saying, but I'm just like, how can I agree or disagree? It's
Very simple.
okay.
Do you
Well,
think ethics are going to actually come to the forefront of how generative AI is used to develop this year? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know how to
One-
verbalize what I'm thinking, because the first thing I thought was exactly what John said. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. The second thing I thought is ethics for who, right? Because it's like the users of AI to create something is not the same as the leadership of corporations who drive the systems and the processes that we all have to live with and work with in and often wrestle with as small business owners.
Leland?
One of the first things that I remember coming out right after ChatGPT kind of blew up was, Dan, do anything now. The set of commands that you can give ChatGPT to get around their ethics. Now, people want and desire kind of an unfettered access to all of AI. And I would imagine that the opposite's going to happen out. Someone's going to come out with basically a unethical version of AI and try to market that, something that ChatGPT and Grok and all, and Claude, all these have these restrictions on it. Someone's going to come out with an unrestricted version of ChatGPT or AI or something like that, so that they can not be hampered by ethics.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
So, in other words, I'll be the first to say I am very skeptical of this, because just like Leland just said, there are too many incentives, shall we say, to find ways around ethics to make ethics, come to people. And the other thing is, some people just don't have no damn ethics. And you marry this technology up with that, kind of hard to see it happening. Are we just for very skeptical people, or do you think most people are actually looking forward to 2025 being the year that Gen AI is infused with ethics?
This isn't a Gen AI thing. As I was scrolling my newsfeed over the last, since we've been off, I came across something. So you have to forgive me. I don't know where this came from. It was just reported that Gen Z, and I think it's a little bit more than Gen Z, views large companies and corporations as, quote unquote, and these are my words, the enemy. Okay, these are my words. They are not trusting. They're mad. It's just like, just call it a lot of like a negative, what is the word that sentiment around the connection, around what giant companies represent. And so that's what's like out there. That is what's out there. And I'm not going to go into all the news and how people react to it over the last month or so, but that's just more proof of what's out there. And then you get to hear things like, since that attack on the CEO a while back, a bunch of CEOs got together, and instead of and basically the outcome was, how can we improve security for CEOs? Like, so just like totally dismissing what the sentiment is and going off on something else, which again feeds this whole thing. And bringing it back to AI, I think I'm an optimist. I am just an optimist. Every small business owner I know is insanely ethical, almost to a fault. They work really, really hard to make sure that their customers are satisfied, make sure they're doing the right thing at the right price, and so on and so forth. And yet there's this other thing going on. So that was a lot of words. I'm kind of, but that means that in terms of AI, it's exactly what I said. Ethical for who?
And by what standards too? Ethics for one person is different than another person. Oh, this thing right here, it's not ethical to do. It's not ethical to do cold calls. But in other times, it's like, oh yeah, it's totally ethical to do cold calls.
You know what? I
So
think
by
it's,
whose standard?
I don't think it's, for me personally, I don't think doing cold calls is a matter of ethics. It's a matter of annoyance and stupidity in some instances. But ethics, I don't know. I can't knock them for that.
Well, doing cold calls poorly, right? We just really want to make a distinction on these types of things, right? Most people who are doing outreach, who are doing quote unquote cold calls, I firmly believe cold calls are back, but there's just no excuse today to be sending cold, stupid DMs in LinkedIn or making calls. I would love to receive a relevant outreach, but that requires work.
Yeah.
And we don't like to do work. We would just rather.
Wait, hold on.
Uh-oh.
So AI is going to remove non-relevant text.
Can we put a button in that? Because that goes to the next prediction by my buddy Scott Bechuk from that. He's a partner over Norris Venture Partners, and he was quoted as one of the 25 folks. And was speaking right to this whole area of sales and AI. So he says by the end of 2025, roughly 20% of business software buyers' initial interactions with vendors will happen through AI. Many AI sales development representatives products launched in 2024, and the bulk of those purchases will go live in 2025. Their success will pave the way for the next generation of sales automation in the form of AI account executives, which will begin to debut by the end of 2025 and roll out in 2026. So basically what he is saying is this year, AI is really going to be highly fused into the sales process and becomes, I guess, an AI companion to the sales representatives, to the point where it'll be significantly impacting 2025, but really coming to the forefront in 2026. So does that kind of marry what Ivana was saying and what John is saying?
I want to hear more. John, can you repeat what you had said? Because I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that. Say that again.
I think you said something about non-relevant text, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right. Okay. So the reason
non-relevant outreach, right? Like just cold
right.
outreach that makes no sense.
Yeah, right. So I mean, the AI is intelligence, right? So we're scaling intelligence now.
Based on the
And
data, it can be intelligent.
are you going to
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that in
throwing
there
in?
because I think you're right, but only if it has good data to actually work with.
Well, of course, it's going to have data. I mean, all
No,
your
good data. No, not all good. Not all data is good data. I'm sorry. All right, I'll stop correcting you. I'll say that for 5 o'clock.
Okay. The thing is that relevant outreach, okay, will be enhanced with intelligence. So right now we've got outreach that is very canned, and it's based on, here's a bullet point, here's a bullet point, here's a bullet point. Based on these bullet points, overall, the average outreach should be this statement. What artificial intelligence will allow us to do is take the bullet points directly from the individual client or what do you call it? Not client, because they're not a client yet. Lead, right? And make it relevant based on, let's say, the historical nature of their profile and content in social media. So it can take all of that into account and then do an outreach based on that, and that becomes way more relevant. So it's not just canned stuff. It'll feel very organic.
So do you expect it to improve, John? Because I played with that tool, Power In or something. I played with it like that week, for that entire week or so. And I definitely increased engagement, definitely found people, but I also noticed that it has a pattern. It follows this pattern. And then what I noticed is that when I looked at those people's comments, right? So let's say it left a comment on somebody whose keyword I used, right? It left a comment. And when I looked through all of those comments, I found a lot of comments with the same pattern. And I'm like, oh my God, a lot of these comments, like, how is it that this, these people just appeared in search and then they got those comments? And my question to you is, boy, I could really tell. So I shut the thing off, right? Because I was like, I don't like not controlling it. I felt the comments were not bad, but definitely, I don't know, it felt like comment spam, really. So do you think it's going to get better, John?
Well, absolutely. It'll get better. I mean, hey,
Leland, do you feel left out at all? Just ask.
I'm just letting them go back and forth.
Well, it'll definitely get better. I mean, based on where we were 2 years ago with AI. So obviously it's going to get better. That's A. B, you have to think about what you did. You took into account all of the comments and then made your assessment, where most people aren't going to look at all those things. They're only going to see the one thing. And so that's going to be the differentiator between what you gleaned from using the tool versus what other people that never interacted with me before, right? But all of a sudden I pop up on their timeline with a comment that is very relevant to what they said. And it's usually, congratulatory or making sure that I'm saying that, gosh, that's really thoughtful. I like the way you put that. And it puts that on their timeline. They're like, wow, John Lawson interacted with me. And suddenly that opens the door for me to maybe create an actual relationship with them.
Got it.
At scale. I think that's the value of it. And will it get better? Yes.
Leland, what do you think?
When it comes to like comments on social media, you see these posts that have 3,000 comments. You look at like the top 3, 4, 5 comments, and then everything after that is generic. It's the same thing reiterated. And I don't think that like AI comments are going to be necessarily that bad, because most of the time they're just probably 99.9% of the time they're going to filter into that bottom 2,995 comments that are below the top 5 comments, and it's just going to fill some stuff out.
All right.
Until it gets
And AI is now taking all the comments and giving you a single, summation of all the comments. And do you use that?
I've seen it, and it kind of gives you that overview of like oh, this video, people are saying that it's this, but then there's also this little, subset of people that are saying this, and
gives me a good summation.
Okay. I just want to pop this up, and also I want to bring one other person that Ivana and John could ignore into the conversation. It's Shashi.
Hey everyone, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And let me, before I kind of get into this, I want to bring up Pierre. Thanks for that, but check your Facebook messages, because if you want to join us, if you have time, we'd love to have you join us too. It's the first of the year. We bring everybody in. So basically, I think what you're saying, John, is what my man Scott was saying, is that AI is going to really play a huge role in disrupting the way that sales and sales automation is going to be done. I'm just paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he was saying. Shashi, you heard I think quite a bit of this, and if you look at what Scott is saying about what's going to take place this year when it comes to AI and how it's going to impact sales automation and this whole idea of AI account executives, do you think he's on point with what's going to happen this year when it comes to all this stuff?
I think data will get better, and the messaging will be more customized. But I'm not really in favor of AI reaching out to me unless the data says that I am the right person in the buying cycle and ready to buy. Then I can get a message. I see a lot of automated messages already coming from AI, and I reply to them, and they write back and say, great. I tell them unsubscribe, and they write back and say, great, when can we meet? So there's a chance that if it's not accurate and if the data is bad, it's going to be a bad experience. So they have to be very careful. But the main power of AI is analyzing their data, finding out who's closer to the buying cycle, and predicting, hey, reach out to this person and give them, they were actually looking for this white paper or anything like that. Or even, manage to create a nice custom collateral for them.
Yeah.
I have a concern. Thank you, Shashi, for saying what you said, because this brought up such a concern for me, and I would love to hear what you guys think. My impression is of a lot of small business owners, based on a lot of the in-depth interviews I've covered, and I've had a couple hundred of them over the last few months. And the great unsaid that I have observed is that small business owners, a lot of them, will do just about any activity as long as they don't have to talk to their customers.
That's crazy. Really?
And I'm going to tell you this. One of the guys one of the guys I talked to happened to be Amish, because I live close to Amish country, within about an hour. This guy's an Amish furniture. He makes like floors, furniture, whatever. And he was asking about postcards. He was asking about his website. And I said, there's a lot of face-to-face relationship building that you could do that better fits your brand, not to mention your lifestyle. And he was like, yeah, that's nice. But what about postcards? And what about my website? And my theme for this year is focus on human to human, building actual relationships, being in action around human beings. Use the digital side of things, whether it's AI or all the digital tools that we have, to support that. And I think that's what I'm saying to Shashi's point, which is, I just think it's a huge mistake to let these digital things be the first impression or something. You've got to use it smartly. Even like what John is talking about, having that thing like leave a comment, but you have got to take over quickly. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's just, me.
My thought is, how long until we have small business owners having their own AI running interference and actually being like the receptionist and kind of talking to sales? And so you got one AI talking to another AI.
That's
you guys ever-
that's the future of sales.
Well, have you heard of the AI Granny that this team had compiled and made that is supposed to talk to spammers who are looking for you to go down and buy like a gift card to Apple Music or something like that to pay off your IRS debt. And so the AI Granny is supposed to hold the scammer for as long as
I
possible
love that.
so that the scammer won't go on to another person. And I'm just wondering, how long is it going to be that you're going to have a small business that's going to have their AI talking to another AI, and it's just going to go on forever and ever and ever, and nothing's going to happen?
That's a very good use case, Leland, because that's not like somebody using ChatGPT or something that is learned from the whole world, but something that keeps following this particular small business's interactions with customers. And then, like, almost, let's say we are not there yet with facial recognition, but somebody walks in, right, and the business owner doesn't remember their name, but on the screen it will flash like, this person is Ivana. Please give her this cookie because she likes it. She's bought it 6 times, right? That's a great experience. But
That's a great experience. Yes.
That's in that CRM.
Yes,
That's
but
what,
We have that's what we have systems that already do that for us, right?
correct.
But now, can we have that on a personal level where it pops up on my glasses screen when that person walks in the door?
so
Or this could be like, instead of Ivana coming, she's busy somewhere else. As soon as she comes to the door says like, "Hey, welcome back." The only thing it shouldn't say is, "You came with a different person last week. Is this your husband?"
It's like, oh wow, different husband this week.
well, hey, if we're talking ethics in AI, it might be ethical to point out that person is not your husband. No, I'm just kidding. Just totally kidding.
But that is that is a terrific point, right? In the world of hospitality, they've created these systems. 32 years ago, we honeymooned at the Opryland Hotel because it was going to be this great experience. Understand, this is 1993. There's no internet. There's no nothing. We walked in. Our experience was personalized. We walk into a restaurant, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor. We like it. I don't know how they did that, but at the same time, that was very finite, very controlled, and a closed system, right? Because it wasn't talking to the internet, it wasn't talking to anything else, just like whatever information we gave them. Now, imagine with AI and ethics, back to the husband, not husband hotel experience, right? I mean, that could be scary.
Yeah, that's true. But there's something John said that I want to reiterate is, yes, it is CRM, but that's the kind of interaction that we'll have with any kind of software. In fact, we probably don't need much of this software, and we just need agents that will pull from CRM, from billing, and answer any kind of questions. But it'll be a agent that's very particular to this business and doesn't need to get data from anywhere else unless really needed.
Without going too deep into the rabbit hole, because this is my rabbit hole, but I want you to think about the future of having data that sits in some sort of storehouse, and not having to put business intelligence software on top, because the AI will be able to write the calls on the fly to get the information from the database that you need when you need it, versus having to buy a software that sits on top with business intelligence embedded into that system. Not needing that anymore, but having AI be able to go through all of that, data and retrieve exactly what it needs on the fly. That's the future of AI.
All right.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to put this out, and maybe we can move on because I didn't really expect that to. But I've been having a lot of these conversations, and we just did this series on what is CRM in 2025, and we had a variety of senior execs at some of the biggest vendors in the space, and we also layered in some of the vendors that are not traditionally known as CRM vendors, but are trying to get into the CRM CX market. And this gentleman, John Bruno, a friend of mine, he works at a company called Pros, which is not a CRM or CX platform, but they are a price optimization and CPQ platform. And what he laid out is kind of similar to what you guys are saying. CRM is going to be less about the big CRM database and the big platform applications, but the ability to create what he calls point-in-time experiences. And one of the examples he gave is Microsoft has their CRM platform. They have their Copilot. Pros has their price optimization and CPQ platform. They have integrated that platform with Microsoft Copilot so that salespeople can have information flowing through on CPQ and price optimization, that they have that at their disposal as through the Copilot when they're completely interacting with a potential lead or customer. So you don't have to jump through these big systems anymore. You use what he calls a point-in-time experience that's created by the integration of these systems coming through an AI assistant. And I think that is a kind of a view to what's going to happen. And that's kind of the new CRM is, it's not about CRM on its own. It's going to be about CRM getting ERP data, getting commerce data, getting employee data, all throwing through these co-pilots so that you don't have to try to hop through or depend on one monolithic thing. You're going to have co-pilots, like I think John said, that are going to be interacting in the background with other co-pilots so that you don't have to do all that. And you don't have to try to guess when's the right time to get to this interaction and not have the right data with you. That's probably not going to happen all this year, but you're seeing inroads being made. And I think that is probably how sales is going to be impacted the most through this kind of this whole 2025 scenario is agents, co-pilots, and better data. And it's about time that happened. So
Yeah, I think you're right. And John, I fully agree with you on that vision. What I predict is the number of software vendors that a company is using is going to come down, because right now, I think the last 5 years at least has been niche. Like just for sales, you have 20 things that do very like small things. And AI is going to disrupt that market totally, because you don't need all of that. And you just ask your agent the question and you'll get the answer without looking at a dashboard. And it can even create a dashboard for you on the fly.
all right, Pierre, we'll be leaving the light out for you for next week if you want to join us next week. All right, so I didn't mean for this to go as long as it did, but I have one more, and this is coming from another prediction that was on Small Biz Trends, coming from our friends at Zoho. Let me bring that up. Around what does all this stuff mean for small businesses, or what it should mean for small businesses? And my man Ram, I don't even want to try to pronounce his last name, but I know Ram, he's a good guy. Oh yeah, Shaki, how do you pronounce his last name?
Ram Ramamurthy.
Okay, he's a really good guy. I had a chance to spend some time with him at Zoho Day last year. And so he says AI will give SMBs exponentially more time to think big. In the near term, AI is primed to relieve 10% of every department and roles repetitive, redundant tasks, and do that with 10 times better, I guess, impact or yeah, whatever. Now, my question is, I don't think we can disagree with what he says. AI will give SMBs exponentially more time to think big. My question is, will they do it? Will they think big, or will they think, oh, I just want, let's sort of go harkening back to what Ivano was saying. A lot of times people just don't want to do something. They'd rather buy something that they hope will let them not do something and leave it at that. But he's saying They're going to have time to actually think big. I'm just curious. What do you think about kind of will they versus they have the ability to do it?
Will they have the opportunity not to do it? And how long will that last?
I just
Explain
did it
that
this
a little bit.
morning.
You did. I'm just saying, generally speaking, we gotta take ourselves out of the equation because I don't think any of us are in the general audience when it comes to AI, and in the general audience of small business owners in particular. Do you think that what he says will actually come true? Not that they will be able to, but will they actually do it?
I was talking to a restaurant owner just this morning. 5 years ago, or even like 7, 8 years ago, their problem was taking all these visitor feedback cards, feeding into a sheet, and then trying to email them, right? Now imagine today's world, like they're going to use this tool to continue to talk to their customers. And in that case, it's going to be at least a 80% saving rather than their manual method of managing customer contact information, right? Right. This existed in bigger companies for like 10, 15 years. But for small businesses, it's got to be cheap. It's got to be easy. I mean, I still find we all talk about Gemini, ChatGPT, and everything. But even to use these tools, they are busy doing what they're good at. So it will take them some time to learn about the nuances of how to write a prompt and things like that. But they will jump to make anything that they don't have to be personalized or humanized. They will definitely jump to using AI. And I think the efficiency will be a little bit more for some of the repetitive tasks.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about cost effectiveness, of course. I mean, if you got this AI tool and it's great and it's awesome, it's going to save you money, but it costs $1,000 a month. It's got to be worth $1,000 a month in time and the amount of basically time that it's going to save you or money it's going to save you. And then it's got to be easy to do because small business owners, they're busy, and to sit down for days potentially to learn a new tool, for it to possibly just flounder out and just be like, oh, that didn't work the way that I wanted it to work. That's a big commitment. And so they got to know that it's going to work before they even start the process of actually integrating it into their business, or else they're out a couple of days potentially.
This,
I think-
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No. Go ahead, Shashi.
So this friend of mine who I was helping today, he's actually a chef and he's writing a book and he's been struggling. I thought it was a really good use case to say like, hey, start putting your thoughts into, I actually recommended Gemini because it's a little bit more advanced in my opinion. And by the way, Brent, we should have that thing with Ramon, OpenAI and others.
Yeah, that's right.
But in this case,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but in this case, I told him like like put your theme into words and then ask for an outline, right? So those kind of things, I think he was very impressed by. It helped him save a lot of time and at least got him to start doing it, if that makes sense.
I'm so glad I let you go first, Shashi, because that's exactly right. I think the comment here was, will it shift their thinking to think bigger, different thoughts? And for example, lots of people are talking about creating apps, and you can use AI to create an app and a software and whatever. And, creating the app or the software is not the thing. The thing is coming up with an idea, like what use case, what application are you going to use? And then I think to Leland's point, it's got to be super easy. So referencing, my new favorite AI person, that woman I talked about, Sabrina Romanoff, she talked about a tool called Bolt.new. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me get on there. This morning at 6:00 while I was having coffee, I cannot code. I cannot do anything. I can't even think of an idea. But I get on this thing and I start talking to this thing. And I created like you know how you have like what is that called, Noom, the weight loss app? You know how you have that?
Mhm.
I created a marketing one in like 2 hours.
Cool.
Now there's a lot of work to be done, but my point is I went from nothing, no idea, no clue to what Shashi was talking about, which was feeding and having this conversation with the AI, coming up with ideas. That led me to a concept that I could then test the tool with. So I have like the heart, the meat of this app is completed. There's like a lot to be done, obviously, you know, and now I'm kind of curious as to like, am I at the point, to your point, Brent, like small business owners, will I just flail and stop?
Oh, that's what I was
Right.
going to say. You said in that your last statements there 2 times. There's still a lot of work to be done. And I think that's where the hangup is going to be with a lot of this stuff for the general population, not the kind of the insiders who are used to this AI stuff. I think there's still a misperception or misconception or miss something. I don't know. That this is the potential silver bullet that a lot of these folks have been waiting for. They've been, I mean, we've talked about the technological silver bullet for 3 decades, and it never fails. These people are still waiting to find that silver bullet because they don't want to do the stuff that you just kind of talked about. And I just have a strong suspicion that even when it comes to some of the small businesses that are relatively successful, getting them, they're successful at what they know and they're comfortable with that, and getting them to think big means not just think big about being able to do what we do better, faster, and cheaper, but just open up their mind to think, outside of their own box. I still don't know if we're going to get that in 2025. I don't know what role AI plays in that, but it feels like we're still not
Here's
ready
my
for that
problem.
part.
If you don't know, how do you ask that question?
Most of them aren't asking that question.
No, I'm asking. I'm talking. Here's the thing. I'm talking about everybody on this panel. If you don't know the answer to the question, how do you ask the question of business owners?
I don't quite get where you're going.
I know you don't. I'm saying
I hardly ever
if you
do.
don't,
That never stopped me from trying before.
If you don't understand the actual use case of how a small business owner can save what it says, that 10%, and then take that 10% and use it for bigger thinking. And
hey, look, there's been technology that has come out years and years and years
I
that
didn't
have
finish my question.
Well, you're good at cutting me off, so I just thought I'd give you the same treatment there. Go ahead and finish it. Finish your statement so I can correct you.
I'm sorry. So I'm saying if they save the 10% of time, your question is, will they use it for big thinking? AI has no the AI part and whether I'm going to use extra time to think big are not interchangeable.
I'm just going off of what my man Ram said here.
I get it.
But I will say this. Let me put this up there so I don't get John is right. How you ask questions is more important to get answers that fit a business. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. What I'm saying is we've gone through decades and decades of technological developments that people have become dependent on, and they have found significant ways to cut their expenses or be more efficient, even be more productive at what they do. That hasn't changed their mindset to think bigger, think outside the box. That's all I'm saying.
Put up the quote again, please.
Well, he said please.
Okay. Read this quote and then overlay your question to the quote. And I'm saying your question has nothing to do with this quote.
Okay.
It's about whether
I
or
didn't
not
say it was. I just said
bigger.
I didn't actually say that. I just said with our small businesses really going to think bigger. That's all I said. I didn't.
I don't know.
Equate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, you're.
I think they're just going to work more. You know, they're going to save some time, and then they're going to squeeze in another client and make a little bit of extra more money. I mean, that's probably that's what happened in the past. It's like, oh, I don't have to actually go and talk to a parts department. I could just order it on my phone and have it ready for pickup at the store. Saves me time. Now I can squeeze in another client and make
You're
an
right.
extra few
You're
bucks.
right.
They're not going to think that, you know, the average small business owner
Right.
isn't going to go and make an app, you know, for their plumbing business.
All
And
right.
even
They're
if they
going
do, it's
to-
not going to change their business.
I'll go
But-
back to what Ibra said to the Amish guy. He basically wants to use tech not to have to talk to his customers. That's not thinking big to me. I don't know if he's representative,
glad
but
you
that's
brought
not
that
thinking
up.
big to me.
It may be I am a hammer to your nail, or you are the nail to my hammer. And if that's so, you guys just get, you know, you can just throw it to me in my face. But the biggest challenge that I see is that I see this with hundreds of people. John, you talk to hundreds of people. I know you see it too. They are not clear on like what opportunity they have or what problem they're solving. They're kind of clear on what they want to do, but they're not clear on the research component. They're not clear on who their ideal customer is. They don't know how to create an offer. These are like fundamentals. AI can help you think through those things. Absolutely. But AI can also, it will force you. That's been at least my experience as a marketer. It forces me to think bigger thoughts. Instead of spending my time, let's say, doing math, right? We have spreadsheets, we have calculators, right? So you don't have to do that anymore. Or like your restaurant guy, instead of spending time doing those comment cards, they can say, ooh, what patterns? That's what AI does well. What patterns are in the comment cards? What can they predict? Can the AI look at those patterns and gain some insights that he could use to run his restaurant better? For example, imagine that you scan these things and you see what time they came in, or you see what the comments are. I could imagine something coming back and saying, this is to your pricing guy, for example. Oh, Mr. Chef, you have an opportunity to open up like family dinner time, where people can come and bring their kids to have a fine dining experience. You can also sell VIP tables where you can offer this kind of menu, and you can upcharge like another 50, 20, 50, 60% for that experience. I can see that's thinking bigger thoughts, right? If you have a restaurant.
Yeah. One question that I would ask John, which hasn't changed from the last 10 years, is what is the most frustrating task that you have that's taking a lot of time? And in the last 10 years, there have been like software that would solve that problem for you, but in a very narrow way. Now you can ask the same question and get it. And that's what I tell them, like, don't worry about going to create apps or thinking about what an LLM should be. But just solve these problems one by one. You're going to be happier, especially in the case of, I think, Leland, you pointed out, home improvement contractors. Never give you a proposal, because they just go to homes every time and then they can't figure out how to send you a proposal. Those are the kind of problems that AI can solve pretty easily, right? So,
Yes.
and they say, like, we don't even have time to have dinner at home because we are all the time doing some kind of paperwork. So that's the question to ask. What is your most important problem that's taking a lot of time and not returning enough dollars to you?
Yeah, I think that's where most business folks start when they start down whatever technology path. How will this make it easier and quicker and cheaper for me to do what I already do?
Mhm.
I think that's kind of universal. Anyway, we really beat that up. But since we kind of got on the subject of, I don't know, kind of small businesses that are the meat and potato kind of, I saw this just yesterday. Small businesses brace for themselves for a potentially disruptive TikTok ban. And I thought, oh, this is going to be just about content creators and people doing videos and that kind of stuff. And quite honestly, I really don't care about those ones. But when I looked into this a little bit more, this is the one interesting kind of story they said. Desiree Hill, owner of Crown's Corner Mechanic in Conyers, Georgia, local here, started her business solo as a mobile mechanic. So this is not a content creator, influencer type person. This is a real small business person. Sharing videos of her work on TikTok helped spread the word, and she became so popular, she was able to open a 9,000 square foot brick and mortar shop with 5 employees and that was just 18 months ago. Every day I get at least 2 to 3 customers that have seen me on TikTok, watch my videos, and wanted to become a customer, she said. So my question is, and maybe this is just me, I thought TikTok was mostly, for the kind of wannabe influencer and content creator types. Is it really? Is there more representatives like the Desirees in the meat and potato small business world that are actually seeing significant impact from TikTok versus just what I thought was the content creator wannabe folks? And what potential impact could TikTok going away have on kind of the meat and potato small business folks?
I think
Nothing.
that's still an outlier. That's I mean, to get popular and blow up on TikTok big enough so that in 18 months you go from a mobile mechanic to a garage, 9,000 square foot garage with 5 employees. That to me seems to be an outlier. I do see small businesses still use TikTok, Reels, Instagram, all those to be able to promote their business. And if TikTok goes away, these people will just go to another platform to get their scrolling fix. And that's where these people will meet their customers then again. I would just say that, yeah, that woman is probably still a little bit of an outlier. It kind of is like the dairy cow. I watch this dairy cow farmer. He makes videos about dairy cows. He's very popular. He's very big. Not every dairy cow farmer who makes up a TikTok or a Facebook account is going to go and blow up like he is.
Okay, I got some statistics I looked up here.
Ooh.
Right. So
We
it
love
says here, I searched, my question was, how many actual small businesses are on TikTok, not just content creators, but other local businesses? That was my question. And what I got was 39% of small to mid-sized businesses in the US say that TikTok is critical to their existence. 69% of small and medium-sized businesses reported that using TikTok led to increased sales. TikTok drove $14.7 billion in small business owners' revenue in 2023.
Wow.
Is it
So-
daily news of China?
Is the daily news of China? Let me see.
The
Let me just
source.
pick one. Let me just
Is
pick a
that your
source
source?
here. Let me see. Let me pick one. Let me see what I just picked the source. This one is Michigan Journal of Economics.
Yep. Okay,
So-
that seems.
That's just one of them. Let me see the 69%. Who's that one from? Same one. That's coming from the same place. So this is from the University of Michigan Journal of Economics.
Okay.
Yep, all of those statistics. I will put the link in here in case anyone wants to take a.
So just based on that, I don't know. It sounds like I am definitely underplaying the importance of TikTok to
Of social
the meat
media.
potato.
Of
No,
social media.
No, not on social media, because there's a lot of people that get on. I'm talking about meat and potato I'm not just mom and pops, but traditional
I'm just
small
saying
businesses.
TikTok is social media. It's another arm of social media. Social media is huge for small business, has been for over a decade. Why is that news to anybody in small business? Yes, there's going to be an impact if TikTok is taken away. There's a lot of money. Matter of fact, more than 80% of small businesses that actually engage on TikTok see increase on sales. It's a no-brainer here.
Well, I'm guessing that was a more general. You said TikTok is social media. Yeah, I know social media, generally speaking. I'm talking
Right.
about TikTok specifically for not the folks that are traditional or the folks that you always see online taking pictures of themselves and all that. I'm talking about like that story like Desiree. I'm talking about the Desirees, not the wannabes.
There's
That's
a
all
lot
I
of
was asking.
Desirees. There's a lot
And that's
of
what I was
Desirees.
asking. Am I undercounting the Desirees? That was my
Yes.
question.
Yes.
I'm with
Big
John. I'm with John. I
Shocking.
see some of my favorite videos. There is one guy I love to watch, and he has a cleaning company, but he's like out in Arizona or California somewhere, right? But he is like cleaning houses, showing tips, doing, I was riveted. And I can't imagine that people are not reaching out to him. I can't imagine that he's not selling some type of certification course to clean like Raul or like whatever the guy's name is, right? So that he can have people who use his methods all over the country. I mean, every social media platform that comes out, what's really interesting to me, because they are like slightly different forms of media. And this whole TikTok thing is a particular type and flavor of video. And then I see different types of small businesses really come to shine using that format. It's fascinating. So what will be the next? So here's a question for the panel. What do you guys think? Let's go off the TikTok thing. That's short form video. What do you guys think will be like the next type of social media sharing type platform, content type platform? Twitter started with text, Facebook started with connections, LinkedIn. Yeah, you see where I'm going? And they all kind of steal from each other. I don't have a clue. I'm asking you guys. Anybody thought about it?
I mean, what the hell is left? We had podcasts for the audio. We had video for visual. We had text, like you said. We had short form text. We have long form text.
What about like holograms? What about holograms? So I'm going to go back to my pal Raul. That is not his name. I don't know what his name is.
Can you introduce us to Raul?
Imagine if he like shows up. Imagine that he's a hologram and he shows up.
I don't want no hologram showing up in my house, though. Even though I'm sorry, I got to draw the line. Holograms, no, I don't want that. I think we might get
want a hologram.
We might get a bridge too far with then they'll give you like
on how
holograms of dead people coming to our houses. I don't think we. Yeah. I can see it happening, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I don't know.
One thing I want to add about TikTok is I'm pretty sure there is a huge number of people who are on TikTok who are also on other channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you look for statistics on, say, YouTube or Facebook, you probably will have statistics that are probably a little bit more higher than what TikTok has.
Yeah,
TikTok goes away. Yes, it's going to affect people because of the number of people who watch TikTok every day, but the audience will figure out where to go next to get what they need. And all the other social media platforms are already getting on board with short form video. Ivana, one of the things that I think at least this year it's going to be 2.5-minute videos. Nobody has patience to do more than that. So
yeah,
unless you're doing a how-to class.
There was a reason why YouTube increased the short count from a minute to what, 3 minutes, something like that. They don't do anything without calculating what they do. And I remember back in the day when this guy, he made a video of how to fold a bandana because he sold bandanas. And I think he had over 300,000 views. And I'm sure that led to some business too. So just saying that.
Social media.
Yeah, social media. All right. Man, we went long. One last thing here. And this is what I thought was going to be the really interesting part. It always happens to me. It's always happened. All right. So here we go. This is going to have to be quick. All right. So I have a Ground News, and I think we talked about Ground News. It's a great source of information, and it lets you not just about the articles, but the spin the articles have, whether it's left or right or center. So I was looking at ground, and I saw this. Economists are already worried Trump's Maganomics will hurt growth in 2025. And then I looked down at the bias distribution, and it's like, oh wow, this mostly is coming from the center. So I thought, okay, we maybe we have some unbiased stuff here that we can dig into. So I went to one of the unbiased sources, the articles that are listed here, and let's see. Economists say Trump's Maganomics will hurt growth. Donald Trump's vision to reshape the world's largest economy through protectionist policies that put America first will damage growth, according to Financial Times economist poll. I think they did that with the University of Chicago. Now, interesting part is contrast that with investors' bullishness over the U.S. president-elect's plan. So you have the economists saying one thing, the people out there saying we are bullish and all that. The research says that the majority of experts see Trump's combative Maganomics ultimately hurting U.S. growth. 50 economists surveyed on the U.S. alone said more than half of viewed Trump's policies as ultimately having some negative effect on the economy, while a further 10% forecast a large negative effect. But a December Gallup poll said more than 2,000 people found that 88% of Republicans expect the stock market to rise and 87% expect inflation to continue at a reasonable rate. And a further 78% predict general economic prosperity compared to 40% of independent voters and 50% of Democrats. So there you can tell there's a definite political spin on this. But I'm asking you guys, first of all, I never heard of that term Maganomics before, but I think we're going to hear a lot about it coming up. From a small business perspective, do you think Maganomics will be a good, positive thing for U.S.-based small businesses, or a negative thing for U.S.-based small businesses? Whoever wants it.
I will say, back when Trump was in office last time, the experts said he's going to tank the economy. And he did pretty good until COVID happened. So we'll just see what the experts are saying again. He's going to tank the economy. We'll see what happens. I mean, he did it once. He did pretty good. We'll see what happens this time around. Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Who tanked the economy?
So
give me a president that tanked the economy. What president tanked the economy?
So are you saying
Herbert Hoover?
Okay, you give that's one. Any others you can think of that tanked
James
the
Buchanan?
economy?
James Buchanan. But that was 1860.
Okay.
So
Anybody else?
Who was the president before Jimmy Carter?
Okay.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Nixon.
No, Ford.
No, Nixon. Yeah, Nixon was
Nixon.
before.
Nixon.
Well, Gerald Ford was actually technically right before.
Well,
Jimmy
that's 2
Carter.
years. They did 2 and 2. So
And
my
the-
point.
and
So
the
my
economy was
point
pretty bad.
is, I believe all the economists in that story are wrong.
So you believe all of them are wrong, and the people who are optimists are right?
I just asked you to give me a president that tanked the economy. You had to go back.
Oh,
70
I was
years.
just having fun. I thought, okay.
I'm just saying. It's just like
A lot of people, you know
They're
what?
wrong.
George H.W. Bush was basically let out of office on a rail because he had just won the Gulf War, and even with that in his back pocket, he got killed because of the economy.
because of the economy, but did he tank the economy?
But
they all
I
get-
agree.
Don't you get credit if it goes well?
I'm
and
just saying,
you
not
get the
really.
blame if it does bad?
I'm just saying, not really. Nobody's tanked the economy. I don't think Trump's going to tank the economy. If the economy tanks, it's because of other things, not because of who's the president.
I have a perspective here where the economists have been wrong for the last 4 years. I'll tell you why. Because, like, the stock market is in the economy. Even though the economy was doing well, small businesses were suffering lack of staff shortage, increase in the raw material costs that they already have. So it can't get any worse, in my opinion. But there's do some good, right? And that's the problem. Like, how do you explain the economy is very good to somebody who, even if they're earning 100K, is saying like, I don't have any money to save because I'm spending a lot. I say this in jest, but beer that costed $9.99 4 years ago is $14 now. Tell me the economy is doing well, right?
I think there's
Yes.
so many different ways that you could measure economic growth and impact. To take one, whatever the one is, I think is you're playing around. If you look at a bunch of these indicators and see how they all are trending, that gives you a better idea. I mean, we all can look at people who are underemployed and they aren't making what they want to make, and they're not able to buy the stuff they want to buy, and hear a story like that and feel like, oh, okay, well, I guess the economy isn't that bad. But you got to look at it the overall. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Or are you just cherry picking stuff?
Yeah, but the inflation is measured year over year, right?
Yeah, but so is
Not-
the job growth, and so is the wage growth, and a lot of these things. I mean, me and John, or when we do our Pastor Mike for years, I always start every time I see economic indicator come out, and we do a show. I'm like, so what does that mean? You know, are we in a recession yet? Are we in a depression yet? Because the numbers were saying one thing, and the people talking were saying completely different stuff. And that talk is what really weighs people's their mind and their perspective of what is going on, has a tremendous impact even beyond some of these numbers. And that's why I kind of kid when I ask this, but it's not really. It's just a way of me dealing with this stuff. But a lot of the numbers that were coming out, month over month over month, even during the pandemic, were not indicating peril and doom like the people talking were. And I think most people hear the words and they don't necessarily look at the numbers as closely.
Yeah,
It's not
we
just
should
them.
probably have a different way of representing the economy to different classes of
You
business.
took the words right out of my mouth,
Right.
because my
Yeah.
question is, who is at the center? What is the goal? When we talk about economics, right? We're talking in the 70s, was it the 60s or the 70s, when Milton Friedman wrote a paper and then everyone's like, yeah, that's it. Now we're going to put the stockholder at the center. I learned this in school. I learned this in graduate. Well, I didn't learn it in graduate school because I went to a crazy school that was very anti-authoritarian. But the thing was that increasing shareholder value is the goal, not just for every public company, although that is typically the goal for every public company, but that has infiltrated every private company. And that brings us back in a very lovely way to ethics.
Oh, nice. That was beautiful. The way she just put it back
It
around.
was an early mic drop, right? It brings us right back to ethics. Because back then we were like, oh, if you want to increase shareholder value, you better make customers happy.
Yeah,
And that would be okay if we suddenly didn't tear down the legislation that said, oh, yeah, go ahead, you can buy your stock back and artificially inflate the price of your stock so that shareholders are happy. So it's an ethical question of who's going to be at the center of the economy. Because right now, consumers are unhappy and they don't have money to buy the things they want and need. And so I'm with John. We drive the economy.
I was right with you until you said that. All right. So let me say this. Let me pick the mic back up, because this really does bring around a conversation that John and I had, for years. I think, you tie ethics into what corporate, generally speaking, I'm not talking about any individual companies, but just generally speaking, 30, 40 years ago, a person would get employed at a company and be able to stay in that company for like decades. They would get time off, they would get raises, they would get bennies, they would get great health benefits, and they would be able to have a really nice middle class style of life.
Yep.
Fast forward to what's going on now, and the reason why, particularly this Gen Z and the folks younger than them are in the position they're in, there ain't no jobs that are full time, that have benefits, that give you time off, that give you great health care, that give you 401k, that you could just add a little bit of money, they'll match it, and then 20 years later, you're like a millionaire or something. Those things are gone. And that's because these companies, generally speaking, don't have the ethics that they used to have back in the day, which means we take care of our employees. That's not happening no more. And because of all of that, the economy and people talking about the price of things is much more significant to those younger folks because they're doing DoorDash. They're having to work a long hours with no bennies, have to pay for all their gas. They're actually operating like their own businesses, but they don't really want to be their own business. They'd rather get a job with benefits and all that, but they have to do what they have to do in order to make it. I was talking to one of my Uber drivers who said their monthly rent was like $1,500 and he's driving Uber. My mortgage isn't even that much. And you think he's participating in the stock market like most of us probably are? So all of the wealth drivers that were available to us in our previous generations, buying a house and seeing it, go up over years. They can't afford to buy a house, so they got to rent. Putting in 401ks. We were able to do that, and our companies match, and we saw those things grow, and now they're growing and growing and growing. They don't get that. So yeah, when it comes to how they view the economy, it is much different than kind of folks from our generation, because there were ethics that at least around when we first started working, they're all gone now. But those ethics at least got us to where we are, but it's not in place to get them where they want to go.
Yeah.
Can I drop the mic?
Yep.
Drop it. Right.
Well, yeah, I think that is absolutely on point. So my question then becomes, what constitutes the economy? Is it the people that actually live in it or the people that make money off of it?
For the most part right now, unfortunately, it's like the people that are making money off of it.
And so they're loving it. And so now it goes back to where we always have this disconnect where you're always like, the economy is doing good. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it's because the people making money off of it are doing really great.
It's the ethics that aren't doing good.
Are unable to pay.
But it's the ethics. It's the ethics. It's not really the economy. The economy, if you measure the tangible numbers of the economy, they are always trending up. It's about who's getting what from that trending up. And I think even as part about ethics tells us quite a bit about why the folks that are younger than us and the Gen Z are feeling one way about the economy, because they're experiencing it differently. The numbers are still trending regardless of their experiencing growth personally or not. Those numbers of the overall economy are trending up. They just aren't feeling it like folks that we're fortunate enough to feel. And of course, the people at the very top are the ones that are owning it.
The rich are getting richer.
Yeah.
And the regular person are struggling more and more.
Yeah.
And
that has nothing to do with the actual tangibleness of the economy, more the ethics.
Why not?
Because the ethics.
I don't get it.
Because the ethics, if you let me say it.
I know, but I'm asking you, why does...
And I'm trying to tell you.
Because you're not answering my question, bro. Why?
Because I was trying to tell you. I was trying to say it before you cut me off.
Why doesn't the economy take into account the actual people that are living in the economy?
Didn't I just say the ethics played the role in how that economy is distributed? That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah, but I'm not understanding the connection.
I'm thinking that we are stuck in measuring things that we are measuring. What country? This came across my newsfeed, but I can't remember who just did it. Scotland. Scotland has now added happiness as an
As an index.
indicator to the health of their economy.
Yes. We don't have that.
Yeah, you
It's
know why
only
we
about
don't have
how
that?
much. It's only about how much rich people put in their pocket.
And that's
It's
and
rich
that's what
People are
drives.
making money.
That's what
we
drives.
have-
Transactions. It's about we
Right.
measure GDP, gross domestic product, which is
Yeah.
every transaction that goes into a consumption and purchasing culture. Heck, Jimmy Carter just died, and somebody was reading the malaise speech that he did, where he was like warning us about overconsumption.
Yeah. While we
And
sit here in
soon after
$1.2
that,
trillion in
there's
consumer
this
debt, by the way.
landslide in history because
We are
we
there.
like consuming.
And,
Right.
and we have to be honest about it. Usually, what rolls, the people who have the most money have the most power over how things run.
Yes.
And why would the people with the most money go away from their what they feel is their best interest by making the economy more representative of the overall population? That's what capitalism is about. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just say
I
that's
have
what
to-
it is.
I have to say something here. I think I agree with all of you, but the way, I mean, I've been in the US for 25 years. To your point, Brent, what I thought the country stood for was no matter what you did in your life, you lived a comfortable life. Whether you chose to do crafts, whether you chose to do like home improvement work, whether you chose to work in an office. And I think companies were bound to take care of you by providing you with a township, place to live, you lived. I don't know what the average employment in a company is, but what I'm seeing usually is like 1 or 2 years is the average employment in a company. Now, the second part of it is like we drove across the US with my son last year. Hospitals. Rural areas, there are no hospitals. That's because of what Milton Friedman said is, hey, you have no duty towards your customers. You only have to make a profit for your shareholders. So wherever there are unprofitable medical offices, they're just closing them and increasing the price in cities, right? So I think we got to get back to a time where, hey, as long as you work hard, you're going to have a comfortable.
Any
That's the
parting
thought.
thoughts on that one before we close this one out?
I would love to get back to that.
Do you think
Talk
we
more-
will?
talk more about it in next week.
Yeah. Under Maganomics, probably not.
Okay. All right. Parting thoughts, Shashi. What's your parting thought?
So I think a lot of promise in 2025. I think being positive is not about not having problems, but thinking about ways to solve them. So let's make 2025 a very positive year.
All right. Mr. Lawson.
Oh, I have nothing to say.
What?
I know. I really don't. I'm happy to be here and happy to ring in a new year, and let's see where this goes.
All right. Leland.
2025, new year. If you're tired of not getting a full-time job and pensions and all those benefits and stuff like that, consider starting a small business. Work for yourself, make your upward mobility your own instead of someone else's.
Very, very, very nice. And Madam Mic Drop.
Madam Mic Drop. I am going to say in 2025, most of the best businesses are formed in the worst economic circumstances. So there is no downside for entrepreneurs, right? Things go well, take up Leland's advice and start that business and, move forward. If there is a challenge, use all the things we talked about with AI and all the wonderful tools that are out there that are really affordable to challenge yourself to think big, think differently, and create something amazing.
And use Bolt.new to help you, apparently.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Wow, we got a mic drop and a mind blown. I mean, that's some powerful stuff. All right, so I actually have something I am going to promote, which I usually don't do that kind of stuff. But me and my CRM Players partner in crime, Paul Greenberg, we've been doing CRM Players. Damn, it'll be 16 years later this month. And for the first time ever, we're doing our own live event here in Atlanta, January 21st and the 22nd at the Atlanta Tech Village in Buckhead. It's invite only. A matter of fact, everybody on here is invited. I know Mr. Lawson and Shashi are going to be here. So Ivana and Leland, of course, you are invited to come. But invite only, because you have to be short on the space here. But we're going to be doing really great stuff. We're going to have lots of folks coming in. We have people coming in from like Finland and Germany, and I think somewhere in like Romania or something like that. All over the world, they're coming to Atlanta. Not just celebrate CRM Players, but we're calling it a conversational thought leadership conference. There's going to be great speakers. Brian Solis is going to be coming and doing the keynote, and everybody that attends gets his new book, Mind Shift. We're actually going to be streaming some of our PPN shows in addition to streaming the general sessions. We're going to have all sorts of stuff going on. So anyway, that's January 21st to the 22nd. If you're in Atlanta and you're interested, you can send me like a DM or something, and maybe you can come. We'll see. But Ivana and Leland, you are definitely invited to attend. Maybe I'll figure out a way to get me and John to do a live version of Pass the Mic so people can see me school him.
You do not. You do. You better.
Live.
Boy, you better.
Live. And on that note, folks, happy 2025. Keep coming back every Friday at noon because we'll be here and we'll be talking. See ya.